Anyway, subclasses. Abjurer. Abjurer is broken in Baldur's Gate, so I don't know if they unbroke it here. I'm actually kind of curious. Um, Abjuration. Alright. Abjurer, you're focus on spells that block, banish, or protect. Alright. Abjuration Savant. Now adds one abjuration spell to your spellbook. Whenever you gain access to a new level of spell slots in this class, this benefit replaces the rarely used discount. So yeah, so pretty much I think this is a common thing amongst all subclasses, because I remember that they said they were going to do this in the Evoker subclass in the previous playtests, so that apparently did survive it. Um, Pretty much, I think the idea. No, it used in Evocation Savant. It used to give you two evocation spells of your choice and added them to your. Um. Oh no, because they did it with Scribe spell. Wait, what? I feel like something funky is going on here. I seem to remember this being a thing. So pretty much what they're doing now is they're adding an abjuration spell to your spellbook whenever you get access to a new level of spell slots. I'm assuming because they still have like the gold cost stuff, because wizard is the only class that really needs gold. Yeah, okay, sure. I do think like this is better, right? It's just like every odd level pretty much. So like, oh no, wait, Abjuration Savant. Choose two Abjuration spells from the wizard spell list, each of which must be no higher than level 2. Add them to your spell book for free. In addition, whenever you gain access to a new level of spell slots in this class, you can add one Abjuration spell from the wizard spell list to your spell book for free. Okay, so apparently the gold costs having never really happened. Um, I mean, to be fair, I will say the gold cost having thing was never really the reason to pick up a subclass. I will say that. You just picked the spells that you wanted, and other than that, you didn't really care. Like, if you wanted three spells and one of them fit with your subclass, you would probably pick the other two and just learn this one if you could find it, but then you still have the risk of, like, am I going to be able to find it if I need it? So, I don't know. And then Spellbreaker replaces improved abjuration, which I don't even know what improved abjuration is anymore. Improved abjuration. Cast an abjuration spell that requires you to make an ability check as part of that casting. You add your proficiency. Oh, right. Counterspell and dispel magic or abjuration spells. Right. Okay. Or at least they were. I don't know if they still are. So Abjuration Siphon I'm actually a fan of. This is just going to give you more options and spells, and it's going to actually make you feel like an Abjuration mage. Or at least a mage that has learned about Abjuration, even if you know, don't necessarily find a lot of use for Abjuration spells. So, but other than that, I think it's fine. Um, Arcane Ward. This is the one I was curious about. You can weave magic around yourself for protection when you cast an abjuration spell with a spell slot. You can simultaneously use a strand of the spell's magic to create a magical ward on yourself that lasts until you finish a long rest. Ward has a hit point maximum equal to twice your wizard level plus your intelligence modifier, which I think is the same. Yeah. Whenever you take damage, the ward takes the damage instead. If this damage reduces the ward to 0 hit points, you take any remaining damage. While the ward has 0 hit points, it cannot absorb damage, but its magic remains. Whenever you cast an abjuration spell with a spell slot, the ward regains a number of hit points equal to twice the level of the spell slot. Alternatively, as a bonus action, you can expend the spell slot and the ward regains a number of hit points equal to twice the level of the spell slot expended. Okay, so what changed? So it's just the bonus action part, right, that got added? Once you create the ward, you can't recreate it again until you finish the long rest. I don't know why this is here. Probably because there's stuff that can like permanently break the ward, but sure. Or like anti-magic area, I guess, stuff like that. I mean, cast mage armor, get this, go for it, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I to be fair, it's a bonus action, so like you can do it during combat, right? As a bonus action, you just spend the spell slot, you get a couple of temporary hit points. It makes sense to put this as a bonus action then. So yeah, sure. Makes the ward a little more potent. I don't know why they needed to buff Wizard all of a sudden, but I guess. Protected wards. Whenever a creature you can see within 30 feet of yourself takes damage, you can use your reaction to cause your arcane ward to absorb that damage. If this damage reduces the ward to 0, the warded creature takes any remaining damage. Ooh. Alright then. Sure. I mean, you know, protect your allies. Spellbreaker. You always have Dispel Magic spell prepared. You can cast it as a bonus action and add your proficiency bonus to its ability check. Okay, so I know why they're not putting Counterspell there, because Counterspell is fucking shit. And I will say, being able to cast Dispel... To be fair, one thing you do have to take into consideration is if you cast Dispel Magic as a bonus action, you cannot cast a higher level spell as an action anymore. So there is still a downside to this. Like, this is not an end-all be-all to all magical effects. But it is a very interesting ability, pretty decent for certain campaigns, definitely. So, whereas Improved Abjuration kind of just had the downside of, like, if you're not, like, you know, you still had to spend spell slots. Actually, you do also have to spend spell slots. What am I talking about? It's just you can use Dispel Magic as a bonus action, but to be fair, you'd probably want to use Counterspell. I mean, you can still use Counterspell, you just don't get proficiency bonus. I think it's fine. I don't know why they needed to change it, personally. I guess because they want to nerf Counterspell, because they get the feeling that a lot of players think Counterspell is badly designed. I don't know if a lot of players think so, but I do know that, like, getting counterspelled is one of the shittiest. Counterspell is such a powerful thing against the correct player, or against the correct target, because if you can counterspell an action spell, you're literally giving up a reaction for their biggest part of their turn, which is insane. So, yeah. And you have advantage on saving throws against spells and resistance against the damage of spells. What was this at 14? Oh, whoops. Where's it? Oh, there you go. Yeah, this is the same thing. So, it's just defensive abilities, which, I mean, resistance against the damage of spells is not bad. Someone throws a meteor swarm at you, you can have that to 70, at least you'll live, right? So, and then in addition to Arcane Ward, because I'm assuming this goes after resistances, so yeah, this is pretty good. So yeah. I still don't know why they needed to buff Wizard all of a sudden. Is it because they're called Wizards of the Coast? Is that why? Alright, Diviner. You could see the future. Isn't that the whole point of that subclass? No offense. Divination Savant, so adds one divination spell to your spellbook, yada yada yada. So once again, you get to add 2 divination spells no higher than level 2, add them to your spellbook for free. In addition, whenever you gain access to a new level spell slot, you get to add 1 divination spell. So we know that. And then other than that, only the third eye changed. Okay, so Portent is still the same, which means you still roll 2d20s, record the number of rolls, and you can replace the tests. which I still think is a really, really, really powerful ability. I think Divination was like always one of the most powerful subclasses. I think I might have been. Abjuration I think is better in Baldur's Gate, but like, yeah. Expert Divination, casting divination spells comes so easily to you that it expends only a fraction of your spellcasting efforts. Whenever you cast a divination spell level 2 or higher using a spell slot, regain one expended spell slot. The slot you regain must be of a level lower than the spell you cast, can't be higher than level 5. So if you use a 5th level slot, you can get back a 4th level slot. Sure. But it's exactly the same. And then third eye. You can increase your powers of perception as a bonus action. Choose one of the following benefits, which lasts until the start of a short rest or a long rest. You can't use this feature again until you finish a short rest or a long rest. Dark vision, you gain dark vision. Greater comprehension, can read any language, and see invisibility. So it also used to contain ethereal sight. Is that in here? A bonus action allows you to cast the invisibility spell instead of having to choose between seeing the invisible or seeing. Oh, because see invisibility. Right. See invisibility also allows you to look into the ethereal plane, I assume. And incapacitated no longer shuts this feature off. Okay, and then I find it funny that here they're saying the 2014 version of the invisible condition contained an unintentional loophole in some circumstances that allowed an invisible creature to benefit from the condition, even when someone could see the creature. Which I still think is funky, and I don't think I would have ever ran it that way. Then again, I've never had someone pick see invisibility as a spell. So, you know. But yeah, so as a bonus action, right, so as a bonus action, you choose one of them. Okay, and then you can't use the feature again until you've had a short or long rest, at which point you can choose another thingy. So you do have to be careful with this, which I assume is the reason that they made it a bonus action, because you want to be able to play to the situation, right? Let's say, like, for greater comprehension, I don't think it's going to matter for dark vision neither, but like for see invisibility, if you all of a sudden find out that you're playing against an invisible creature, you want to be able to, in that combat, use see invisibility and fight. Plus, to be perfectly honest, it doesn't even matter that much, because now you're casting see invisibility. So that technically means that you've cast a higher level spell, so you can't use anything but a cantrip anymore. So in theory, it's not that big of a buff even to make it a bonus action. Because honestly, dark vision, you're usually going to have to figure it out before combat starts that you're going into a dark area. See invisibility is like the one during combat, but you're casting see invisibility. And usually reading any languages in a lot of cases isn't going to matter unless it's like writing on the creature. At which point you have to use greater comprehension, and honestly, at that point, like, you know, that's a very specific niche case that we are not going to balance our game around. So, you know, I think this isn't even a huge buff, honestly. It's a buff, definitely, but it's not a huge one. Definitely. Greater Portent. Oh yeah, get to roll 3 d20s instead of 2. Sure. I think that's the same, right? I mean, this still feels like a really good subclass. You pretty much get to define everything. Scrying is a divination spell, right? Think so. Like you can scry as a 5th level. Yeah, for example. So there's a couple of good things in there. So yeah, I think this is decent, honestly. Nothing much more to say about this. Wizard, I knew I wasn't going to be saying much about the subclasses. I wasn't going to be saying much about wizards. to be honest. Evoker. Evocation Savant, again, same thing. Potent Cantrip moves to level 3. Sculpt Spells moves to level 6. Okay. Now I'm curious. What the hell happened? Okay, so Evocation Savant is just the same thing. Choose 2 evocation spells. No higher level 2, add them to your spellbook. Whenever you get a new level of spell slots in the class, add 1 evocation spell. Completely fine. Potent Cantrip. Your damaging cantrips affect even creatures that have won the Broid of the effect. When you cast a cantrip at a creature and you miss with the attack roll or the target succeeds on the saving throw, they still take half. So, out of sheer curiosity, yeah, this used to be level 6. You know, I'm gonna be perfectly honest. This is something that I agree with. Because I've always felt like Potent Cantrip feels more like a level 3 feature than it does a level 6 one. So, I think this is good. Scoped spells, I don't remember what this is. You can create pockets of relatively safety within the effects of your evocations. When you cast an evocation spell that affects other creatures than you can see, you can choose a number of them equal to 1 plus the spell's level. Automatically succeed on their saving throw and they take no damage if they would normally take half. So like the careful spell from Sorcerer pretty much, but on evocation. And I'm assuming originally in the player's handbook, this just used to... Oh no, they take no damage if they would normally take half. So, again, not much has changed here, if I'm being honest. Empowered evocation. I'm assuming this is just the same shit, right? If you cast an evocation spell from the wizard spell list, add your intelligence modifier to 1 damage roll of the spell. Again, like 1 damage roll of the spell. I'm still curious what agonizing blast for Warlock is going to be. And then over channel, increase the power of your spells when you cast an arcane or wizard spell. Wait, sorry, I'm looking at the old version. Increase the power of your spells. When you cast a wizard spell with a spell slot of levels 1 to 5 that deals damage, yeah, you can deal maximum damage with that spell on the turn you cast it. The first time you do so, you suffer no adverse effect. If you use this feature again before you finish the long rest, you take 2d12 necrotic damage for each level of the spell immediately after you cast it. This damage ignores resistance and immunity. Yeah. Each time you use this feature again before finishing a long rest, the necrotic damage spell level increases by 1d12. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, nothing much changes here again, so nothing much to say about it. You know? Illusionist. Illusion Savant, same thing. 2 illusion spells, 1 I'm not gonna keep saying this. The last subclass, but whatever. Malleable Illusions is now a bonus action rather than an action. Ooh. Hold on. Okay. Illusory Self can be reused by expending a spell slot of level 2 or higher. Sure. And Illusory Reality has been clarified, noting that it can't deal damage or give any conditions. Huh. Wait, that's interesting. Okay, so first of all, improved Minor Illusion. You know the Minor Illusion cantrip, already know the cantrip to learn a different wizard cantrip, so that's still exactly the same. And you can now both create a sound and an image with 1 single casting, sure. Malleable Illusions. When you cast an illusion spell that has a duration of 1 minute or longer, you can use a bonus action to change the nature of that illusion, provided that you can see the illusion. How much does that matter? Like, I don't mean to be mean, but how often Does changing your illusion matter in the middle of combat? I mean, I guess there's like it becomes interesting once you have like illusory reality, I guess. But like I don't know how important that bonus action buff really is. Maybe if you like want to do two things in one turn because you have like some sort of a surprise thingy going up and you want to like change the illusion and then throw a fireball at the same time or whatever. Maybe, I don't know. I don't see this as like a huge change. Illusory self. You can create an illusory duplicate of yourself in response to danger. When a creature makes an attack roll against you, you can use your reaction to interpose the illusory duplicates between the attacker and yourself. The attack automatically misses you, and then the illusion dissipates. So you use this feature, can't use it again until you finish a short or long rest, but you can also restore your use by expending a spell slot of level 2 or higher. Okay. So pretty much you can trade a second level spell slot for someone to automatically miss you. I mean, that's pretty good. That's like you upcast shield and they always miss instead of missing once. Although no, shield kind of stays for an entire round. So that's not actually true. I mean, it's good. It's protection. Just not from saves, which later down the line I think becomes a bigger threat. And it's only against one attack, so this is not a giant protective ability. It's decent, but like, you know, you're still a wizard. Someone blows on you and you still die. Now they just have to blow twice. Illusory reality. You have learned the secrets of weaving shadow magic into your illusions to give them a semi-reality. When you cast an illusion spell with a spell slot, you can choose one non-magical object, this part of the illusion, and make that object real. You can do this on your turn as a bonus action while the spell is ongoing. Object remains real for 1 minute. For example, you can cast an illusion of a bridge over a chasm and you can make it real long enough. Make it real long enough for your allies to cross. The object can't deal damage or give any conditions. Okay. I mean, it can't give any conditions. It can't give you a hard condition. Yes, it can. It can scare the bejesus out of you. I mean, this is a really fun subclass. If you have like if you have a player who can like make use of it, this is a really fun subclass. So, you know. Other than that, it's wizards. Like, I'm gonna be honest, there's very little to say about wizards and their subclasses. Right? They don't have a lot of features, most of their value comes from spells, so.